How's it going, everybody? On today's video, we're going to be working on replacing fuel tank in the Squarebody in that truck. The passenger side tank is rusted out, and it's got two 16-gallon tanks on it, but I've bought a 20-gallon tank to put on it, a little bigger fuel tank for it. I ain't got to stop at the gas station as much. But the plan is to at least get the rusted tank on the passenger side took off. And eventually I'll get the driver's side tank switched over to the passenger side because it's a smaller tank, and I'll put the bigger tank on the driver's side. So yeah, let's get it down to the shop and see if we can get working on this bad boy. If we can find somewhere to work on it in the shop. Let's see. My dog waiting on me to go to the shop. Let's go.
$9 million for our client.
I'm sure it'll be some vehicles we gotta move out the way. I know there's vehicles we got to move out the way, but it's just right across the road, so no big deal. Hey, this is a good old truck here. Let the truck run here while I move everything out the way. Maybe I get moved. Everything get moved. This is our shop. Show you a little bit around here. It's my grandfather's. It's a 1950 Ford rat rod. It's got a flathead V8 in it. Really not much else done to it. I mean, bought it like this. I think we had to clean the carburetor to get it running. About the only thing we've done to it so far. He did put some different wheels on it. And I think he planned on putting that motor there in it. It's a 351 Cleveland. I don't know what all is done to it. But then this motor here, on our homemade starting stand, it's another 351 Cleveland. It's got two 4-barrel carburetors on it, or we'll have once we get the other one rebuilt. But it's sitting over here. But that motor is going in the 1923 Ford T-Bucket that's in a trailer somewhere. And this is also my grandfather's. It's a Plymouth Satellite. We repainted it as close as we could get it to the color of the one he had when he was a teenager. And this right here is my dad's. It's a 1941 Chevy Coupe. And it's had a lot of work done to it. It still needs a lot of work to be done to it. But we'll see where this thing goes. Then my pride and joy, it's a 1983 Chevy K10. All done by me. Paint, body work, and it had a lot of body work done to it. A lot of body work done to it. The outside, not so much. The outside wise, the body was fairly straight. Had a couple of rust holes, like right here in the fenders on both sides of the bed. Other than that, the body was fairly straight. I did have to replace the rocker panels, inner and outer, on both sides, and the floor pans on both sides. And it was originally a two-wheel drive truck, and it's sitting on a 1988 Chevy four-wheel drive frame. That's when they switched the body styles to the OBS, so it's got the independent front suspension. It's not the solid axle. And the cab that we had, I ended up cutting the middle hump and getting that put in. That way the full drive shifter would work like it's supposed to and mount up right. Then I just cut a hole for the transmission shifter. I put that in because it was originally a $700 R4, but I took it out and put a NV 3500 in it. So yeah, see if I can get this bad boy moved out. But in order to get this bad boy moved out, see that, I gotta get that truck moved. So, I'll be right back. Excuse the noise in the background, it's just our torpedo heater going. We do actually have heaters hanging up in the shop, but I'd rather deal with the noise of a torpedo heater than the howling of the heaters we have here in the shop. But now that we got this truck in here on the lift, we'll raise it up and see what it's going to take to get the fuel tank off of it. I think I got a pretty good deal on it. I bought it for $1,000. The guy wanted $2,500, but when I went to go pick it up, it wouldn't start. And I'm like, well, I was gonna pay $2,500 for a running truck, but now that's not running. I don't think it's worth $2,500. So we talked about it, negotiated, and finally I bought it for $1,000. Got it loaded up on the trailer, got it home, and just for laughs, I want to see if it would start on the trailer. It started right up. Well, I drove it down the road and parked it. Drove it down the road, got back to the house and parked it. Then went out the next day, tried to start it, wouldn't start. I got to messing with it and found out it needed a distributor. The distributor was rusted up, and I guess it bounced it on the trailer. Got it to make contact enough to actually run, but sitting overnight, it just rusted back over. So I bought a distributor for it, put it in it, been driving it ever since. Really ain't done that much to it. Man, I put some wheels and tires on here, 35 18s. It had 33 15s on it, but they were pretty wore out. And I had these from my other, I had these tires from my other truck, but I ended up selling it. So instead of just letting them sit around and dry rot, I put them on this. Other than that, really the only other thing I've done is I put a steering stabilizer on it around the seat. And I put dual shock steering stabilizer on it from Rough Country. Pretty easy to do. Other than that, I really ain't done much else. Let's go in there and see this fuel tank. This passenger side fuel tank, and as you can see, it's got a big rust hole in it. That ain't no good. I'm gonna take it apart, take it out, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Well, that went about like expected. A 35-year-old truck, all rusted and seized. Took about 3 hours to get that thing out. Whew. I think I'm gonna have to work on the rest of it next weekend. But at least it's out. Of course, I have to run all new fuel lines because I didn't feel like undoing them all and pulling them out with the tank, so I just cut them. Of course, that tank was not in use anyway. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up these two pieces of pipe. This is the filler neck pipe and that's the vent tube pipe. I'm going to clean them up and powder coat them. That way they'll last just a little bit longer. So I'm going to get them cleaned up and powder coat them, and I'll show y'all some of that. So I've got the oven preheating to 400 degrees. I've got these cleaned up and powder coated. I hope they turn out alright. Of course, I missed a little spot there, but that's okay because the hose is going to be covering it. But I hope it turns out alright. I've already tried powder coating two pieces. I got these two pieces here. This is Chevrolet orange and metallic blue. Which this one turned out pretty good. This one, I don't know if I just didn't get enough on it or what. You can kind of see all the marks underneath it. I don't know if maybe it's just the type of powder coat it is, kind of, you know, bakes on and turns kind of like a translucent. I don't know, maybe it needs a base coat. But I painted those two pieces the same as this, and I've tried to put more on there. Now, it's been about a month since I did this piece, but I think I put more on there than what I did on this piece. So we'll see how it turns out. Of course, they're just pipes for a fuel tank, so you won't be able to see them anyway, but I thought it'd be good practice. So we'll see how it goes. And after they get done baking, I will show y'all the end result. So they didn't turn out good. I mean, I guess they'd be alright to use for what I was going to use them for the filler neck for the fuel tank. But, I mean, as you can see, got a bunch of air bubbles. I guess just where I didn't get the metal clean enough. And so I'm going to strip it all down and do it again, and we'll see how it turns out the second time. Hopefully it turns out just a little bit better. So I have re-powder coated these, and when I cleaned them up, I actually powder coated them black, then went back and powder coated them metallic blue over the black to see how much different it would look with a base coat on there. And you really can't tell on camera. You can kind of tell there how that's a little lighter and that's a little darker. I just didn't get enough on the bottom. For whatever reason, the blue really didn't want to stick over the black. And I did some reading, and if you use a base coat, you got to do like a partial cure. That way the second coat will stick. But they turned out a whole lot better than the first time. I mean, there's no air bubbles in them. It's actually stuck good. It feels smooth like you think it would. So I'm happy with them. I'm gonna use them just like this. I'm gonna leave them alone. So yeah, I just want to show y'all how it turned out.